Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Betsy and I'm a nurse of over 40 years with a passion for helping people. I want to help people find the calm in the midst of their crises by providing education, motivation, and inspiration through my unique combination of education and experience in nursing, safety and risk, wellness, and biblical understanding, along with using stories of people's lives as well as my own. So thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be talking about making a key choice that helps you to maintain a calm in any crisis. Welcome. And again, today I'm going to be talking about making a key choice that affects whether you're calm or not in the midst of any crisis. Okay, so as you know, if you've watched my last video, I'm 63. So I've lived a long life and 40 of those years have been nursing since 1980. I was LPN first from 80 to 83, and since 83 I've been a registered nurse working in all kinds of fields. So you can actually know that I have experienced a ton of crises, not only my own, but actually through a variety of events, whether it was through my patients or things that occurred in risk and safety. So let it just be known that I know that typically when people are in the midst of a crisis, no matter who, they're either seeming like there is no God, because no God would allow this to happen, or where is God, because I didn't think God would allow this, or I trust God because I know that He's with me. So I've seen all three of those, and whether you believe there's a God or not, I'm going to challenge you today through some of my things I'm speaking to help you see perhaps there actually is a God. So first of all, I want to get to the key choice. And of course, as I just spoke about, the key choice really is, do you believe in a power outside yourself? Because when we're just by ourselves, let me just tell you, when you wake up in the morning, it's not you telling yourself to take a breath. You don't purposely make your blood circulate. And so, as much as sometimes some of us like to think we're gods, or that God, we are all God's spirit or whatever, all these various views, we are not God, okay? We may have a spirit of God indwelling us, which is what I believe as a Christian, and I know some New Age proponents think that there's a Christ spirit in all of us. But the whole thing is, as individuals, as people physically bound, we're not God, okay? I didn't choose to make my birth. I didn't choose what I looked like, so I guess I can't be God. Plus, another thing that I always think about is when people try to say, well, it's as plain as the nose on your face, and I'm like, that's really not a very good thing to say, because guess what? None of us can see the noses on our faces unless they're really large, okay? And even then, it's not the true picture of your nose. The only way I can see my nose on my face is by crossing my eyes, and then I see one little tip, but I don't see anything else. If I look in the mirror, it's transposed to the opposite side. So, guess what? This is my saying, if we can't even see the nose on our own faces, how do we presume to know that there absolutely is no God? I actually think that's probably quite arrogant of us as people and probably a little simplistic. So let's just think about that. Remember next time when you're thinking there is no God, that guess what? He's not as plain as the nose on your face. So anyway, let's go on to the next part. I think that most of us probably have a challenge of thinking this through and making this key choice, whether there's a God or not. And then beyond that, who is the God and How does this God interact with us? A lot of times it occurs in difficult places, in challenges, in crises, in hardships when we say, woo, is there a God? God, help me. I promise you I'll do this. I'll promise you I'll do that. Some of us keep our promises and some of us forget them soon as he answers our prayer. That's people for you. But there are those people who actually live a very good life. And they accomplish goals. They have wonderful things that have happened to them. Maybe they've had challenges, but they're the person that is the optimist that looks for the silver lining and so continues to move forth. But they get to the top of their game or they accomplish everything that they want. And then they're like, wow, is that all there is to life? Gosh, I thought there was more. I thought there'd be like a greater thrill when I get to the top, or something really cool would happen when I accomplish all this. But it hasn't. So, well, like, is there something beyond this? I want to assure you that there is. So, if you pay attention to the laws of nature and to the world, I do, and I'm very keen on it because for several reasons. First of all, I was a Girl Scout, which should show you that I'm pretty particular and I like to be prepared. Then I've been a nurse. A nurse studies symptoms. A nurse is always on the watch for things because we don't want bad things to happen to our patients. We want to actually help our patients to get better as best as they can. And in some of those situations, it is very important and it's dire that we make the right choices, ask the right questions, see the right things, and compute it all and call the doctor or do whatever we need to do to save lives. And I've been in that situation too. And also having done risk and safety, where I got all the reports every day, and on the weekend they all stacked up for me on Monday to evaluate, and I got all the reports of what went wrong in the hospital, anywhere it could have happened, whether it was to an employee, a patient, or a visitor, and I had to do the follow-up. And then if there was something wrong, I had to help figure out where that risk came in, what happened, assign risk, assign responsibility to who did what, and then work with preventing that in the future, and sometimes settling claims or working with the attorneys when an actual claim became a suit or things like that. And there were a lot of different cases. I had to be up on it. So when I'm thinking through all these things, just know that I've got that investigative mind and I have a sharp mind. Not only that, I'm an artist. So I'm very in tune with a lot of things, and I'm a sanguine personality who loves people, and I have the gift of mercy because I hate to have people hurting. So I'm constantly in tune watching for like, is anybody hurting around here? Does anybody need my help? Now, through the years, I've had to learn that sometimes your help is only enabling people, and so you have to kind of step back and judge whether they need your help. So, in the whole construct of this and all these giftings I have come to believe through the years, and probably believe this as a child, that there is three actually different divisions of our being. There is the body, which is the physical. It's what you can touch and see. There is the soul, which comprises the mind, will, and emotions. So you can't see those things, but you can see the effects of them. You can see if you have emotions and somebody might be crying or laughing, or you can see the effects of their thinking, their mind, because as it says, the more you think about something, the more you'll act on it. What you think about, you bring about. And there's actually some really wonderful verses in the Bible about the mind and how that affects our being. And then there's the spirit, which is the eternal part. And that seems to be the part that a lot of people don't believe in, the spirit. Well, I truly believe that there's a spirit for a variety of reasons. And one of them, and that spirit is part of God's creation. One of the reasons I believe that is because we can, sometimes science is actually, and scientists are actually very disingenuous and intellectually dishonest, because they only seem to say, I'll just believe it if it's physical or it can be proven physically. But you know what? Don't they believe in gravity? Don't they believe in wind? Don't we all believe in the effects of love? Well, can you see any of that? No, but you can measure that. Now, I always like to use an object lesson if I can. So let's look at here. Here we have a bunch of ribbons that I have. Okay, these ribbons are physical objects. I'm a physical person, right? But what I'm going to do, you can't see. You can only see the effects. You can see me blow the wind from my lungs, and you can see these ribbons blowing in the wind. That's how the Spirit of God is. That's how the metaphysical world is. The metaphysical world is. That means the world that can't be seen, but it's a third spiritual level. I call it actually the highest level of being, because that is actually where our most important part of us is. Then comes the soul and the mind and the will and emotions. And then the most base is our physical being, because this is what everybody can see. It's really a base and a very simplistic thought that we are only physical beings. And so that's why I say that scientists are actually very disingenuous. If they believe that there's love, if they believe that there's such a thing as gravity, quantum physics, all these different things, then you would think they believe that there is a God of order. So that's just something to give you something to think about. So then we need to consider what kind of God is there? For today's purposes, I'm just going to look at the God that I believe in, which is the God of the Bible. And his name goes by Yahweh. He has a lot of different names, which we'll examine in another video. But this is the God that in Exodus 3:14 and 15 tells Moses, when Moses asks his name, who shall I say sends me? And God says, I am that I am, and I will be what I will be. And that is the name that I will be remembered to through all generations. I am. What does that mean? He's self-existent. He's self-fulfilling. He does not need anything else to complete him. He is, and he will be what he will be, not what we make him to be. So I look at that. I look at his nature, because even without the Bible, it does say in Romans, we should know him by nature. There have been many places where God says that you should know me just by looking out in the stars, in creation, in the order of the universe, in the way that things are made. I'm telling you right now, there's no Big Bang theory. There's no Big Bang, okay? It's God creative forces. I did a lot of research on Darwin and his theory of evolution. They still have not found the transitional pieces, the transitional forms of life. I used to believe that at one time, but then, guess what? I found the lie. So people, don't just swallow these things. You need to think about it. And sometimes you just need to look deeper than what they're saying. In one of my videos, I'm going to be actually, one thing as a nurse, looking at anatomy and physiology. God explains himself through physical means, the seasons, the body, blood, how the body works. I mean, he even says that his believers are like many different parts of the body, because we all parts of the body. The ear hears, my hand waves, my mouth speaks, my eye sees, and we are like all different parts of the body. And so he says you need to value each part, because some may seem more important, but they're no more important than any other part, because together we make the whole, which is a people that he loves. So that's another thing of looking at nature and seeing who God is. You can also look through his word. If you believe the Bible is the word of God, you look into his word. And there's so many ways you can examine the life of Jesus, because in Colossians 1, I think verse 3 or 6, and then in Hebrews, it also talks about Jesus being the exact representation of the Father, the exact imprint and image of God on earth, displayed in a physical body. What was that? Jesus was love and mercy and joy and peace. He was so much, and he was so much actually, that the world's calendars, at least the Julian Gregorian calendar, were made to BC, before Christ, and AD, which means Anno Domini, the year of the Lord. Now, in past years, now they're trying to make it before Common Era and then Common Era. But seriously, it all goes back to the same thing, when Jesus was. Well, I don't want my videos to get too long, so I'm going to end it here. And I'm going to end it by letting you know what I have lined up for my next videos, because I want to build on this. So next week, I'm going to be speaking about who is Jesus anyway, and how is he different from all the other religious figures that ever was. I think you'll want to see this, because you know what? I go deep. And guess what? I've seen a lot of bad things. So I have really had to ask God about, who are you? How is Jesus? Does this make sense? I mean, really, I'm rereading the Old Testament just to understand that, and God has given me some wonderful insight. You know, the Lord said, and God said, seek me and you will find me. I'm praying that many of you, whether you know him or not, whether you've ever thought there was God, whether you're upset or even hate him, I am praying that through my videos, you'll find that there is a God, and that he loves you, and he's got a plan and a purpose for you, and that God says that he wishes no man to die in his sin and apart from him. So be with me next week as I talk about, who is this Jesus anyway, and how is he different?